If Donald Trump is responsible for January 6th, then the liberal mainstream media and the Democratic Party is responsible for the assassination attempt and the murder of an innocent rally goer on July 13th. What's up, Piper friends? Welcome to Tim's School of Pipes and classes in session. Trigger warning right off the bat. If you are easily triggered and a cuss word or two is going to send you into a frenzy, or if you are a freaking libtard, then you need to just kick rocks right now. I don't know how long this video is going to be up. YouTube is going to start censoring everything like they always do because they don't want the truth to get out. So unless you've been living under a rock, you know that someone tried to assassinate former president and the next president of the United States and the current front runner for the presidential election, Donald J. Trump, this past Saturday at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thankfully, Donald Trump wasn't seriously injured, but before I go any further, my heart goes out to that poor man that lost his life protecting his family and two others that were injured. My sincerest thoughts and prayers are with them and with everyone that was affected. Our country is hurting and we need God now more than ever. But I have to tell you, I'm angry. I'm very angry that this has happened, and the liberal media and the Democratic Party and their rhetoric makes them not only complicit but responsible. If that were Joe Biden, first of all, I would not be happy at all. I would be equally as disgusted. But if that had been Joe Biden on that stage and someone tried to assassinate him, they would already be indicting Donald J. Trump. They have tried to get rid of this man. They have lied about everything. The Russian collusion hoax. They lied about Hunter Biden's laptop and suppressed information. They lied about the origin of COVID-19. They have lied about the border. They have lied about the economy. And they are already lying about this assassination attempt. And I am just angry, probably like most of you. The media is already trying to spin this as somehow Donald Trump is responsible for his own assassination attempt. Let's look at some of the early headlines that came out immediately. The Washington Post said, Trump taken away after loud noises at rally. CNN, Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. NBC, Trump could be seen clutching his ear after popping noises heard at rally. USA Today, Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president. Newsweek, MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at rally. They're already trying to spin it so that they are not reporting on the evil deed that took place, but rather the justified angry reaction of people to that evil deed. MAGA responds with outrage. That's Newsweek's headline. And then the LA Times on Sunday, in the Sunday Times, not immediately after it happened. This is Sunday, a full day afterwards. Trump rushed off stage in rally shooting. No mention of an assassination attempt. In fact, in that article, they talked about Project 2025 before they ever mentioned an assassination attempt. It is just absolutely disgusting. If you believe one single thing that any mainstream media outlet says, and that's including Fox News, if you believe one single thing they say, something is wrong with you. I don't know if many people have actually stopped to consider how close we actually were to Armageddon and potentially World War III. We were literally millimeters away. And I think that there will be more attempts on Donald J. Trump's life. I think that there will be more violence, and this is just the beginning. They have tried everything to get rid of this man. They have tried to impeach him. First, they lied about the Russian collusion. Then they tried to impeach him. Then they tried to indict him. In fact, a Florida judge just threw out one of the classified document cases against him because that was some bullshit, trumped up stuff as well. And that was just thrown out today. The whole world sees right through the bullshit, and 2 days before the Republican National Convention kicked off, they tried to assassinate him. Now, if they had been successful in that assassination attempt, we would have suffered a massive financial crash. We might have recovered, but there would have been absolute chaos immediately following that. There would have been foreign divestment, U.S. treasuries being sold off. There would have been bank closures, and the United States would have certainly descended into civil unrest and maybe a civil war. And if that ever happens, the US dollar will be absolutely worthless. And then we are all screwed, my friend. All of us. We were that close to the assassination of a former president, and absolute chaos. Absolute chaos that we would likely never recover from. In my opinion, the rhetoric of the Democratic Party and the liberal media is 100% responsible for this. They have been calling this man Hitler and a fascist and the greatest threat to freedom and the United States that there has ever been. And no, I am not going to look up the clips. They are out there for 8 years. This shit has been going on. And Hitler is the greatest symbol of evil in the modern consciousness. So it's no wonder someone tried to assassinate this man. If Donald J. Trump is responsible for January 6th, then Joe Biden and the liberal media and his entire staff and administration is responsible for the attempted murder and also the murder of an innocent man at that rally on Saturday. They are 100% responsible. And then they come out and they want to talk about, oh, we need to tone down the rhetoric. Are you freaking kidding me? It is your rhetoric that led to this. Are the Republicans not guilty of some rhetoric? Of course they are. But they're not calling Joe Biden the greatest threat to the United States ever. They're not calling him literally Hitler. What they're saying about Joe Biden is what the whole world can see, is that he is a stumbling, bumbling idiot. He always has been, and he is in mental decline, and we don't know who's running this country because it's certainly not Joe Biden. That is a far cry from saying he is the greatest threat that the world has ever seen and comparing him to the biggest symbol of evil that has ever existed in Adolf Hitler. And so now they want to come out and say, we need to tone down the rhetoric. You need to tone down the rhetoric. And don't come at me with, Donald J. Trump made jokes about Nancy Pelosi's husband. Yes, he did. That was disgusting. I don't condone that at all. But the Democrats have come one step short from calling for his assassination. And in fact, some people did call for his assassination. Madonna talked about blowing up the White House. Johnny Depp talked about assassinating Donald J. Trump. They did Shakespeare in the Park in New York City, and they did Julius Caesar, and Donald J. Trump was the person that played Caesar was dressed up like Donald J. Trump, and they showed him getting stabbed and murdered. And then you've got that Kathy Griffin lady, or whatever that redheaded lady is, holding up a severed head of Donald J. Trump. You have done everything except explicitly say someone needs to assassinate Donald J. Trump. And in fact, the picture on this thumbnail was a post from a staffer of Benny Thompson, who is a U.S. representative from Mississippi. Benny Thompson is the chair of the Committee for Homeland Security. His staffer made a post that said, next time, don't miss. Take some shooting lessons. Oops, did I really say that? Let me tell you something. If his staffer thinks that kind of language is okay, that comes from the top. That comes from Benny Thompson himself, because rot starts at the top. Now, that person, that staffer, has been fired, but that staffer thought that it was okay to not only say that shit, but to put it out there for the whole world to see. And I promise you, she put it out there because she's heard it from Benny Thompson himself. So let's talk about the actual assassination attempt. A lot of people, I keep seeing people online saying, how could this happen? How could there be such a derelict of duty and such ineptitude? Well, I'll tell you how it happened, because it was allowed to happen. This is much more than just ineptitude. This certainly looks like collusion to me. We now have videos of multiple people warning the authorities that there is someone on the roof. And these videos are minutes long, saying, officer, there's someone on the roof with a rifle. Now, the Secret Service is trying to say, well, that was the local authorities' responsibility. Of course, they're throwing the small police force of Butler, Pennsylvania under the bus instead of taking responsibility for itself. A building that was only 100 yards away, where you could stand and see someone on the building and see President Trump if you turned your head. How are you going to tell me that that's outside of the perimeter of Secret Service? Then you've got a local police officer that went on that roof, the assassin. And let's get it right, he's an assassin because he murdered someone. The assassin pointed the rifle at the local police officer. The police officer turned around and left. Now, we don't know if that police officer immediately called Secret Service and said, hey, there's a gunman on the roof and he just pointed a rifle at me. Now, if that did not happen, then there is certainly a breakdown. There should be open communication. Now, another thing that I've heard is that the rules of engagement will not allow the Secret Service to take a shot and take out that gunman unless that gunman first takes a shot. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, first of all, it's a horrible policy. But even if that is true, once they were informed of a gunman on the roof, why was Donald Trump allowed to stay on that stage? As soon as they got word that there was a gunman on the roof, that officer should have called Secret Service. Secret Service should have rushed that stage and taken him off the stage immediately. And then they should have dispatched a force to take that man off of the roof and secure the area. None of that happened. None of that happened. Now, we've got other video of the sniper team on the roof nearest to Trump. They had that man in their sights the whole time. Media is already trying to spin it that, well, they could have been scanning behind those buildings at a perimeter farther out. Horse shit. There was nothing else behind those buildings. They had that gunman dead to rights in their sights, and they were not allowed to shoot. Now, there's something on 4chan, supposedly the one officer that was on his knees that was part of that sniper crew on his knees said his name was Jonathan Willis, and he was told, "You are not allowed to shoot." I don't know if that's true, but what I do know is true is what I can see with my own eyes, and the media is going to gaslight you and tell you something different. They had that gunman in their sights the whole time. The gunman shot, and that sniper popped up a little bit and flinched, and then those two snipers opened fire and took him out. That's exactly what happened. Now, why was that allowed to happen? Why was any of that allowed to happen? They knew the man was there, and they waited for him to take a shot. I'll tell you why that happened, because it was allowed to happen. It was allowed to happen because Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, and that fucking criminal Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of Homeland Security, who the Secret Service falls under, allowed it to happen. Allegedly, Donald J. Trump asked for increased Secret Service from Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson denied that. Now, of course, they're saying in the media, that's not true, that never happened. I don't know if it happened or not. All I know is what my eyes tell me. Now, let's talk about Kimberly Cheadle, the director of Secret Service. She worked for Pepsi. Pepsi as a risk management person. She was a glorified security guard for Pepsi Cola. And now she's the director of Secret Service, whose primary job, among other things, is to protect the leader of the free world. She worked at Pepsi. Now she's the director. She came out with an initiative that said her primary focus is to make 30% of the Secret Service female. Now, I don't know if you saw the overweight female, and I'm call it like I see it. I'm overweight too. That chick was overweight, the one standing right outside the truck after they put Trump in the truck. This dumbass could not holster her weapon. She fumbled around with that for 15 or 20 seconds trying to holster her sidearm, and she couldn't do it, so then she stood like, I hope nobody saw me, and then finally she holstered her weapon. It took her 20 seconds to do that. These are the people that are charged with protecting the leader of the free world, and that chick is not proficient with her weapon. There are part-time dudes that go to my local range once a month that can handle their weapon better than that chick. That is a DEI hire right there. And let me tell you this too, and women, I'm sorry if you get pissed off, but those people are supposed to be elite. Any average man with an average amount of testosterone that's a little bit pissed off could whip that chick's ass and the other chick. And they are supposed to be protecting the leader of the free world. That is absolutely wrong. And a lot of people keep focusing on, well, men are just stronger than women. And of course, if you're a freaking libtard, you don't believe that because you believe men, women, sex, gender, it's all a social construct. Well, that's bullshit too, because you believe chicks with dicks should be able to compete against girls in girls' sports. So you're all fucked up anyway. But the rest of us know that men are physically stronger than women. And that's just a biological fact. And that's not to say that women aren't better at many, many, many things than men. Typically, they have a better intuition than men. They're more compassionate than men. There's a lot of things. But men are stronger than women. So there's that, and that's what a lot of people want to focus on. But what I want to focus on is, why do we have a woman taking a bullet for a man? A woman whose job it is to take a bullet for a man? How fucked up is that? As men, we are the protectors. We are the ones who take a bullet. I would never allow my wife to take a bullet for me. And we should not allow a woman to take a bullet for the president of the United States who happens to be a man. That absolutely should not happen. That's your woke DEI bullshit right there. You've got this fat chick who's supposed to be protecting the next president of the United States. That bitch can't run a fucking mile. She can't holster her weapon at all. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? That is wrong on so many freaking levels. Now, let's talk about the shooter himself. They're already spinning it as he was a loner. Watch and see what's going to come out next. He's going to have a manifesto. It's going to happen. Guaranteed. They're going to make some sort of connection between that shooter and either some adversarial country or some kind of alt-right hate group or some kind of terrorist group. So they're already painting him as a loner. Next thing we're going to see is some made-up bullshit manifesto, and it's going to have all this far-right bullshit in it, and then he's going to be associated with some extremist groups. They're already talking about, well, he was a registered Republican. Of course he was a registered Republican. You dumbasses. That's so he can vote against Trump in the primary elections. You don't have to be a genius to understand why somebody that hates Republicans would register as a Republican. It's so you can vote in the fucking primary, you idiot. BlackRock, that owns everything, owns all the fucking media, did a commercial at Butler High School just 1 year ago. And this shooter, this assassin, was in that commercial. Isn't that just fucking coincidental? Isn't it coincidental? And Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, has said multiple times, behaviors must be forced. And no, I'm not going to find the clip. It's out there. Go fucking find it. Look up Larry Fink, BlackRock, behaviors must be forced. He said it time and time and time again. So, was this kid part of some MK Ultra mind control stuff? Maybe. It sure is coincidental that BlackRock would be in fucking Podunk, Butler, Pennsylvania, some little town in Pennsylvania, and BlackRock's there doing a commercial, and that kid is in it. Maybe they found this kid, whose dad, by the way, was a behavioral therapist, and they said, well, here's a good fucking candidate. I don't put it past him, and you shouldn't either. It sure is coincidental. And then there's the whole other side of the thing. Maybe we're all being played. Maybe both sides, including Trump, are just actors on the world stage attempting to control us, to keep us divided in that left-right paradigm. What better way to make the Trump supporters even more supportive and have even more hatred toward the other side and vice versa than an assassination attempt? Could be. I don't know if that's true, but I certainly don't put it past them, because I 100% believe that the fight is not between left and right. The fight is not between conservative and liberal. The fight is not between Republicans and Democrats. The fight is between the globalist elite and everybody else. They are the real enemy. So, is this all made up to try to keep us focused on each other instead of focused on them? I don't know. But what I do know is it is absolutely disgusting. It is horrific. My heart absolutely breaks for that man and his family, that man that was murdered, and the other people that were injured. And I 100% believe that the rhetoric from the Democratic Party and the liberal mainstream media, they have been calling for this. Nothing short of calling for this. They have tried everything to get rid of Donald Trump, and none of it has worked. So the next logical step is to just try to take him out. Hell, they've been murdering whistleblowers forever. Every time a whistleblower comes out, he suddenly shows up dead. See Boeing, the most recent example. So why not murder political opponents? Look, our government is run by deep state thugs. Just like JFK was a threat to the deep state, Donald Trump is a threat to the deep state. Our government is run by three-letter agencies that are absolute criminal thugs, and Donald J. Trump is a threat to them, and they will do everything possible to take him out, even if it means the destruction of the U.S. dollar and descending into civil war. They have stopped just short of calling for his assassination. But that's exactly what they've said. That's exactly what they've done. And it's time for good, moral people to speak out. They are going to spin this. The gaslighting has already begun. The censoring of information has already begun. I implore you not to buy into any of it. Don't believe anything any of them say. Trust your own eyes. Trust what you know to be true. Don't think, oh, the good government could never do that. Horseshit. They could, they will, and they are. We are at a critical moment in history right now, and it's time for citizens to speak up, stand up, speak out, and fight back. And they're already spinning that as Donald Trump saying fight after he got shot in the ear as being vitriolic hate speech. Give me a fucking break. The man almost got his head blown off. So look, I don't know what's going to happen next, folks, but I know more shit is coming. Stay prepared. Stay ready. Get your house in order. Get your finances in order. Get all of your preps in order, because we're going to have several more months of this shit. And then after Donald Trump wins the presidency, we're going to have even more of this shit, because they are not going to stop. Those are evil, godless people, and it's just not going to stop. So I'm thankful that Donald J. Trump is okay. I pray for that man and his family that lost his life, and I pray for those that were injured, and the shit's got to stop, people. Just because we have a difference of opinion, that does not make us enemies of each other. That just means we disagree on how best to go forward, but it's no reason to kill each other. And turn off the mainstream media. Turn it off. They are always behind, and they do nothing but report lies. So anyway, just had to get that off my chest. As always, I appreciate you for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know what you think, unless you're a fucking idiot, and then I'm just going to block you anyway. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click my logo right over there. That's it for this episode of Tim's School of Pipes, boys and girls. Class dismissed.